stuck who your opponent, man, the man in the mirror.
Yo, and if you want to support the movement, I have my digital books that I created in the description below for helping kids and parents and sports people alike. Peace. Welcome to Stuck the World, where we just coming to stimulate some conversations. Today, we're going to talk about being fatherless or not being in your kids' lives. And I know this could be a touchy subject. I'm not going to even use no script for this, right? Man, I grew up, I haven't seen my dad since I was 7 years old. I'm 29 right now. I've spoken to him over the phone, but this is just the things that I would want to ask a father after being a father, right? Like, I just reconnected with my brother from my dad's side. I think he got like a kind of relationship with him, but he was just telling me, like, he was like, yeah, he don't be around the grandkids, none of that. Like, we just kind of talk every now and then. But this right here is to address the things. The questions I would ask my dad probably is, why, right? Like, what happened? I think the more I kind of like look into my life and see what's going on, you know, I look at all aspects of it, right? I try not to hate anybody. I think a lot of the stuff I went through as a kid, I feel like my father should have been there to really help me. So I learned how to fend for myself. I think looking at the relationship I have with my mom and the personality my mom has, I could kind of see why my dad probably ducked her, probably left. I love my mom to death. I feel like, no, man, there's no excuse, right, to leave your kids. I think you can leave the woman, but don't leave the kids, right? And I also don't advocate that you do leave your woman. I think you need to be careful with who you lay with. If you can't lay with them and be with them for the rest of your life, then why mess with them? You know what I'm saying? So one thing that I would ask is why? Like, why not connect? Why not talk to your kids? Like, if it's, and this is solely for like if the mother isn't the issue, right? Like, I don't think all women are gonna be, I'm not gonna generalize all women to be in this bubble of like, they not letting their kids see their daddy or not letting the daddy see their kids. So I'm targeting the men who choose not to see their kids, who choose not to speak to their kids, who choose not to be in their kids' life. When I was a kid, I'm thinking, all right, bet, when I turn 18, I'm gonna see Pops. Turn 18, I ain't hear nothing from him. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing stories that like he's trying to solicit sex from my mom for money. And I'm just like, oh, he a lame. Okay, like, he a lame, right? So with that being said, man, these are the questions that I would kind of ask my dad, or I would ask myself, right? Because I'm a father, right? So what do you remember about growing up without your father? Well, what I remember was, it was a lot of questioning. It was a lot of wondering. I'm not gonna lie, like, as I hit a certain age, when I hit like 8 or 9, I wasn't even thinking about my dad no more. But I think psychologically, there's an empty hole in any child that don't have both parents. And it's crazy just how the way the world and nature works, because it's kind of like, you would think that you won't need the person who's there, you know what I'm saying? But I think, man, building a bond starts when you're first born. My dad was there from when I was like 0 to like 4, so I remember him a little bit, you know what I'm saying, like being in my life. But what I remember was, I used to have this wonder and this question, but then it's kind of like, all right, bet, like, I gotta do this on my own. It's just me and my mom. My mom actually had to sit down with me like, yo, I don't know what's up with your dad, but he ain't, you know, he not trying to be involved. I'm like, all right, bet. I never was like, is it me? I never was in that, because I think I was going through other traumas and stuff in the house that I had to kind of worry about, like survival. I had to worry about, you know, what I was going to go through the next day, how I was going to use my emotions, right? Like, my emotions used to be all over the place. They still kind of are. I'm learning how to kind of like, how to get them going. But that's what I would do, right? Like, it's just like what do you remember being like, not having a father? And it's just kind of like, I don't really remember too much. Like, I just kind of remember, like, you know, at a point in time, I reached out to him, and it was just kind of like, he ain't helped me. So it was just kind of like, all right, bet, like, he deadbeat, he whatever you call it. Another question is, how did it affect your views on the manhood and responsibilities? I'm not gonna lie, man, not having a pops, man, it gave me a drive, right? They say adversity and pressure build diamonds, right? So I think what it affected was just like why not be in your kid's life? Like, if you having seeds, like, why not want to be a reason why they act a certain way? Like, my kids, man, they young, but they act like me. Like, the goofiness, like the the seriousness, like the playing around and stuff. Like they got all of that, and I lost all of that as a kid. So I always try to make sure that I give them that. What scares most about being a dad is another question. And what I would say is being a pops, what scares me most is hopefully they kind of take some things and push longevity. That's what kind of scares me the most. Like the world that we live in, the cultures that we live in, the music that we listen to. I try to play hip hop music just to give my kids that bop, but then I also play like old school music. I play like music that's just kind of like not up our culture's alley, and not saying that it's not good music, it's just not part of my culture. I play music like that without cussing, that's just kind of vibing along, so they could just get different aspects of music, jazz, everything, because I want my kids to have longevity. And another thing that scares me is not being there to see them grow, not being there to see them make the mistakes. I got so much game that I want to teach my kids, but remember, like a lot of kids, they don't want to hear that. Even right now, my 3-year-old right now, I'm trying to have a conversation with his mama. He like, Papa, you talking about me? I'm like, yeah. You want me to hear you? You want me to talk to you instead of your mom? He was like, yeah. Start giving him the game. He like, mind you, he 3, so he like, so I'm looking at him like already like that. Yeah, he already tired of me. You feel me? So I'm like trying to find ways to kind of give them that game, right? 3 is really, really early. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to find ways to give him the game, but I want to make sure that whenever he make mistakes, I don't ostracize him and I don't make him feel like he's less than. Like I don't want him to ever feel like he's less than or he's not worth anything. So I think that's probably one of the fears that I kind of have, like just being a dad, like just being there for him. I got another question is, do you ever feel like you're figuring it out as you go all the time? All the time. I'm constantly trying to figure out how to respond, right? You know, I'm in the field of working with children, so like a lot of things, you know, I want to respond like I'm at work, but I'm not at work. These my own kids. So, you know, you got to take emotions into consideration. You got to take what they want into consideration. I'm not a what it's called, I don't do gentle parenting, you know what I'm saying? So I do like a balance of being gentle, making sure that I'm understanding what they want, their feelings, but I'm also into responsibility and accountability. I think that is something that fathers do need to teach, accountability, making sure that they know that what they do and the results that they do is based off of what they do. It can be enhanced by outside factors, but you only can control what you can control. Another question is, how do I parent different from how I was parented? I'm not gonna lie, I think I have more patience, most definitely. I do reprimands. I do physical reprimands, meaning like I do little pops. I do give whoopings, depending on what it is. My thing right now that I'm working on. So, but I don't beat my kids. Mind you, my kid's 3. I don't beat my children at all. Like there's no beating at all. There's no fight or flight. I don't know what my son's feeling, but there's no, he's walking on eggshells. Like I watch him, I pay attention to his behavior. Like he knows when he's in trouble, he knows when he's not. I've seen that in research, is that if a kid doesn't know when they're in trouble and they get in trouble, that's what causes stress and trauma. My son knows when he's about to get in trouble. So it's usually like he's being like he's doing too much on his brother, or he's bullying. A lot of things that I do with my children is based off how I want them to be seen in the world. All right, so if my son is bullying his brother, we addressing it. That's not good. That's not warranted for a whooping. That's warranted for functional communication training, right? So let's go back. That's my job stuff, right? So basically, if I see a kiddo acting a way that he probably shouldn't be acting, I'm gonna go and not reprimand him, but I will teach him how to act, right? So if little brother is trying to grab your toy, you don't hit little brother in the face, right? You tell him, hey, this is mine, or then you go ask for help. Then I also teach my son, like I teach him the three strike rule. If somebody put their hands on you, you give them 3 warnings before you have to put your hands back on them. As a matter of fact, my son is at jiu-jitsu class right now. So I don't want to teach my son to be what my cousin said. My cousin said, we're not teaching our kids to be pit bulls, and that's the truth. I don't want my son out here bullying people, trying to hurt people. I want him to be able to protect and defend himself. Another question is, what moments make you feel you're doing things right? What makes me feel like I'm doing things right is my son's smile and my son's happiness. My son's asking for things. My son's using manners. My son is 3 years old saying thank you and excuse me, holding doors open for people. That's what shows me that I'm doing the right thing. Now, I've been doing a lot of reading on how a lot of filthy rich people are narcissists and sociopaths and things like that. I don't think I want to put my kid in that. I don't want to expose my kid to that type of behavior just to get rich. So people are probably looking at this like, bro, your kid's probably soft. They out here saying, excuse me. They saying, thank you, whoop, whoop. And it's just like, nah, I want him to be a civil human being before he tries to go chase some money. I want him to know the value of human connections and relationships, because I missed that as a kid. I still don't know how to socially be around people. When I'm at parties or something, I just kind of walk out the party. I don't say bye. I have a hard time saying good morning and hi to people. I do. It's just something that I never really practiced growing up. Another thing that I would say is that makes me feel like I'm doing things right is when I'm purposely not doing the things that I was raised around. When I was a kid, I was never able to sleep in on the weekends. I had to get up. I had to go do something. If my stepdad got up, I had to get up. And it wasn't military or nothing like that. It wasn't teaching me discipline. It was kind of like, my stepdad was a blood. He was an ex-con. He was a gang member. So he kind of treated the house as a prison. So I kind of learned how to live amongst people who've been in jail and stuff like that. So just what I learned from him is I learned the violence. I learned the rage. I learned the simplicity of like organizing your stuff in your room. Like I learned all of those things just from my stepdad. So I'm not gonna say he was like a 100% bad person, but I think he was part of a generational curse of violence and lack there of being a father. A question I've always gotten is, have you ever forgiven your father, or do you still carry the pain? Yes, I've forgiven my dad. I don't know him. I'm at the point where I have my own family and things of that nature. I stopped thinking about my dad probably when I gave him that call that I was fighting my stepdad, and he, you know what I'm saying, like he didn't help. He didn't do anything. Just kind of, oh, okay, like, all right, bet, like, cool. So when I hit like 13, 14, I was past the whole father stage. I don't have no problems with him. I would love to sit and like interview him, talk to him, see his side of the story of like what happened. You feel me? Like, I don't think I would take anything personal. I do think that I do harbor some pain, but I think it's just the lack of knowledge that I could have received from my father. And I kind of had that feeling with my grandfather, rest in peace. He used to know how to build houses and write and create blueprints, but instead he chose drugs and prostitutes. So I kind of feel like that with my grandfather too. Like, you could have taught us like how to build houses and stuff. We wouldn't even have had to go to school until we really needed to carry the family legacy. So yeah, I wouldn't say I carry too much pain, but I would say I carry a lot of questions for sure. Another question would be, what would you say to another man who's trying to father without a father? Man, hey, we need to all hug each other, man. We need to shake hands. We need to talk. If you a father, man, and you didn't have a father, take your time, be patient. Take your time, be patient. I've ran into a lot of men who never had dads before, and they're like amazing dads from what I see. So I would say, man, if you're an amazing dad, if you feel like you're an amazing dad and you're doing your part, and you need a community, man, let's create a community, man. Let's keep this going. I have a lot of trust issues, so a lot of that stems from probably not having a father, not having somebody teach me kind of the ways of life, the ways of personalities and relationships. But like I said, if you're a good dad, man, and you feel like you need help or you need some conversation, man, tap in and stuff. Or tap into whoever is close to you and near and dear to you that you could trust with the information that you have in regards to your kids. Another question: how has being a dad healed or challenged your own childhood wounds? I would say being a father has challenged me. I think the beautiful thing about being a father is I didn't have one. So I'm able to kind of start from scratch with how I teach my son. I had a stepdad that my mom married, Badge, that like I said, I see a lot of traits in me that I got from him, even though he's not my biological father. Your environment molds you. So I see myself kind of doing and saying little things that like my stepdad would say, not disrespectful or nothing, but just like mannerisms and stuff. And I'd be like, that's crazy how I caught this from him. Like I said, I think being mindful is everything. Paying attention to your breath, paying attention to your tone of voice, paying attention to the questions that you ask, paying attention to if you insult people when you ask people certain questions. Like, I think being mindful is definitely like one of the best things that you can do. Last question. What do you hope your kids say about you one day? That they love me. I just want my kids to be like, man, I love my dad. I seen the situation with Shador Sanders and Deion Sanders, and he basically, something happened to Deion, and then Shador walked up to him, gave him a hug, and he was just like, Dad, I need you, like, I love you. And that situation right there had me teary-eyed, and I'm like, you know what? That's the relationship I want with my son. And I also seen situations where Deion had to get on Shador, and that's part of being a father. So that's another thing. I kind of feel bad when I gotta get on my son. He 3, right? But when I gotta get on him, like, hey, we don't do that. We gotta do this, that, and the third. We can't do this. Like, we gotta do it this way. Like, and then you feel bad because you don't want to take the curiosity and the artisticness and the creativeness of a child's mind, right? So I try to mold it as much as I can in a way that's kind of like best for him. That I think is best for him, I guess. We don't know what's best for anybody, but I also don't want to put that barrier in his mind that we kind of are taught growing up, especially in America. So yeah, man, as a father, keep fatherhood alive. Please don't duck your kids. Try your best to see your kids, but I also know that there's always a time to give up if you're going against a woman who spites you because of you guys' personal relationship. So like I said, this video is for men who don't have that issue, because I don't really want to touch on that issue. I think it's very touchy. But remember, you can always come to Stuck the World channel, man. Like, subscribe, and comment. Appreciate you. Peace.
Stuck who your opponent, man, the man in the mirror.